It's time to commit to when you're going to free hit because it's going to affect your transfers this week. Welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are well and you've enjoyed the international break. It's chip season. It's time to get planning. And in today's video, we're going to look at game week 13 as a free hit option versus game week 16 as a free hit option. They're the first two that jump out to me. Remember, we've got to use all of our chips by game week 19. We can only use one a game week. Many still have triple captain in play, by the way. And it's worth noting for all of those on triple captain, Erling Haaland versus Leeds is game week 13. You might have to decide if you want a triple captain that week or free hit, or maybe like me, your hand will be forced because you've already used your triple captain. Fortunately, he banged versus Burnley, the big man. But look, let's have a look at the weeks we might want a free hit and the fixtures. Now, what we're looking for when we look at the fixtures is we're not only looking for fixtures to target, but we're also looking for fixtures where we might have a lot of players already in action with tricky fixtures. And remember, this is team specific. But let's just look at game week 13 first. Straight away, the teams we might want to target. Brentford at home to Burnley. Really nice fixture there for the likes of a Brentford defender or Igor Thiago or Kevin Schade. Man City at home to Leeds. We're going to go triple Man City, maybe even triple Man City attack. We probably only own one City already. Most of us only own Haaland. Worth noting, these are 3 o'clock kickoffs with a deadline at 3. We could get team leaks. The deadline will be 1:30. We could get team leaks for Man City, which could be big in terms of I'm going to punt on Jeremy Doku or I'm going to put Phil Foden in. Bournemouth players we've got, many of us have got double Bournemouth. Well, they go to Sunderland. You could take them out for that one. Spurs versus Fulham, you might want to target that fixture. Spurs at home aren't bad and Fulham have been bad. Many of us have got Crystal Palace and Man United assets. This is a big one for me. I'm going to have 4 players from this fixture. I'm also going to have 3 or 4 from Chelsea Arsenal. So Chelsea Arsenal, Palace Man United, many of us will have loads of players from those two teams. This is an opportunity where you take out those players because you don't like the fact that they're playing each other. You don't like the fact that you can't call these football matches. Arsenal going to Stamford Bridge is a tough fixture. Palace at home to Man United can still do damage, but do you back Man United attackers in that fixture? I don't know if you do. Aston Villa have Wolves at home. Again, another team you back. And then Liverpool go to West Ham. Another fixture you can attack. So game week 13, in terms of the benefits are obvious. Clear fixtures to attack that you don't already have huge assets in. You're not really covered on Man City other than Haaland. Very few have Brentford attackers. Very few have Liverpool attackers now. You know, you've got Mo Salah, Dominic Szoboszlai. You could punt on Ekitike. And Aston Villa similar if you want to go that direction. But more importantly for me, game week 13 is one where you go, I have Bournemouth, Man United, Palace, Chelsea and Arsenal assets. And I don't really fancy a big score that week. We're going to talk about game week 16 and compare the two later in the show. But let's just look at game week 13 and stick with that. It's worth noting going into game week 13, there is a European round of fixtures. This chart from Legomane shows that. We're also going to have a midweek round of fixtures going into game week 16. So again, do note those two things. Game week 14 is a midweek round, by the way, in the Premier League. So we're going to have 3 game weeks in 4 weeks. Sorry, 4 game weeks in 3 weeks, which is quite fun. So this is how my team could look if I free hit in 13. Let's look at the upside straight away. So let's look and go through it, shall we? In goal, Emi Martinez. You could punt on a Villa defender. At home to Wolves, the way Wolves are playing, maybe new manager bounce stops us doing that. But someone like an Emi Martinez could be fun. Then we look at the defense, and it's not really a week where it screams clean sheets, but you could maybe go for defenders like Van Dijk. You might already own him, but Liverpool to keep a clean sheet against West Ham. Nico Williams under Sean Dyche. Forest are going to be really good at home again under Sean Dyche. You just know it. It's what Dyche teams do. And then someone like a Michael Coyote. Assist threat is big. Clean sheet threat is quite high. Burnley on the road aren't up to much. I fancy Brentford in that fixture. So look, the back 3, the back 4, if you include the goalkeeper, doesn't jump at you and go, huge week to free hit. But it's the attack where you're having fun. You're putting money into Man City. You're putting money into Mo Salah. And Mo Salah will start with, I feel like if you're on free hit, this is when you're going to own Mo Salah. People are saying, oh, Liverpool fixtures, jump on Mo Salah, buy him now, buy him in game week 12. I don't see it. I don't see myself moving to Salah. I think you have to rip up your team to get him in, and that's not where we're at. But he's definitely someone you can flirt with. You can have an affair with on a wild card or mostly on a free hit. And I feel like 13 is a good opportunity. I've got fond memories of him going to the London Stadium and getting me points and captaining him. Would I captain him this week? No. Would I put him in my team? Yeah. Over all other Liverpool attackers, I'll be going Salah. And then it's the Man City attack. It's like, if we get team news, you got to punt. You got to punt there. Now, if you don't get team news, maybe you don't want to punt on a Foden or Doku. Maybe you want to play a little bit safer and go with a Man City defender. But the way they're playing, Foden and Doku, they're clearly first choice at the minute. You could punt there. Leeds at home is a really, really tasty one. Also, you can look at the Champions League minutes for these players. Let's say you get a rest for Phil Foden in the Champions League. You're like, yeah, okay, I can go there. I can commit. So Foden and Doku, Leeds at home is a lovely fixture. And then Kudus, I quite like his price point. Spurs is best player. Fulham all over the place. Maybe you could just punt in that direction. That's with 6.5 million, but that spot could be anyone's. That was my final spot when making this free hit. It was like, I've got 6.5 to spend. Do I look at Chelsea's midfield? Do you pick an Enzo? Maybe. Chelsea, I think, are at home to Everton. You could maybe target them. Then up front, Mateta's in my actual team, and I think I'll be reluctant to take him out. I do fancy Palace to score goals at home, although they just blanked against against Brighton in the derby. But against Man United, there could be goals in that fixture. You could go with an Mbeumo. You could go with a Mateta or a Sarr. Haaland, we don't need to discuss. Clearly, like, if you got triple captain, you're probably using it in 13. And then I think Thiago is loads of fun. Burnley at home is the fixture for Thiago. There are managers out there buying Thiago. I understand why. If you're looking at his fixtures, like, oh, when do you really want him? It's the Burnley fixture. You're not buying him for Brighton away. You're not buying him for Tottenham away. You're not buying him for Arsenal away. Well, that's 3 of the next 4. The Burnley at home fixture is the one where you want him. If you're free hit, you get him. And then the bench is just dirt cheap, just for money. You might have more budget than me where you can go a little bit sexier on the bench. Potts will get minutes, but you expect the 11 to play. I really like this free hit team. As things stand, I think this is probably where I'm at, but I'm going to give you percentages at the end of this video where we draw our conclusions between the two. So I do want to look at game week 16 as a comparison. Now, remember, the benefit of this one was going big on a handful of teams, but it was massively avoiding Palace, Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal. Let's look at game week 16 and first talk about who we're avoiding and then who we're targeting. And guys, thank you if you're enjoying this video. Thank you for hitting the buttons. It really helps the algorithm, especially during the international break. If YouTube sees I'm getting subscribes and sees that people are liking the video. So the fixture you're probably heavily invested in that you might want to swerve is Crystal Palace versus Man City. I've got triple Palace. I have Erling Haaland. So it's 4 players. Now, taking Erling Haaland out of a game week 16 free hit is high risk, and I don't think I love it. But if I do free hit in 16, I think Haaland would come out. And you'll understand why in a second. The team you can create with Haaland in 16 is very different to the team you can create without Haaland. And you could argue this is Haaland's toughest fixture in his lineup. Like Haaland right now, as an owner, I'm looking at going, I'm going to captain him, I'm going to captain him, I'm going to captain him. Newcastle away, fine. Leeds at home, lovely. Fulham away, fine. Sunderland at home, lovely. Palace away is the tough one. So I could definitely see myself taking Erling Haaland out if I free hit. If I own him and I don't free hit this week, will he be my captain? No. I don't think I'll see myself captaining Haaland versus Palace. So I would be taking him on, and his ownership wouldn't be sky high as it always is, because I think a lot this week will be captaining their Arsenal attacker versus Wolves or their Man United attacker versus Bournemouth. Or if you own a Liverpool or Chelsea attacker, they're good ones too. Sorry, I mentioned earlier Chelsea had Everton. That was game week 16. I got confused. So Crystal Palace, Man City, you can take those assets out. And where can you invest? Well, Chelsea versus Everton, Cole Palmer will be around. So you could punt on a Cole Palmer. He should be fit. He should be available. If not, maybe Delap scoring goals and you fancy him against Everton. Everton defensively haven't been as good as you might think they've been, especially on the road. So Chelsea an option. Liverpool at home to Brighton, definitely. Again, this is a Mo Salah free hit. And again, if you're going Salah, going without Haaland probably makes sense because you're also going with a few other big guns. So look, Salah and a Liverpool defender mainly. Burnley versus Fulham has got a tick. Now, you might say, Janny, why would you go back Burnley on a free hit? Guys, honestly, Burnley at home in the good fixtures, they have played already this season at home. Sunderland, game week 2, when I bench boosted with the Bravka and Estev, kept the clean sheet. Leeds at home in game week 8. kept the clean sheet. When Burnley have good home fixtures, they have a chance of their players hauling. And Fulham at home is a really good fixture. Fulham are pretty shot shy. So for a Dubravka punt, or even an Estev punt, Burnley could be where you go on a free hit. You could definitely have a Burnley defender. Arsenal versus Wolves, clearly great, right? Arsenal at home to Wolves is a prime fixture. Brentford at home to Leeds. We've spoken about Igor Thiago. This is his other good fixture. And then Man United home to Bournemouth. Like, I've got a good Man United asset in Mbermo. I hope he'll be around before he goes to AFCON game week 16. He'll play in that one. I look at this and I'm like, yeah, this is tasty. And the free hit team we're about to see is great. All I'm going to mention is I'm currently well invested. Well, I'll talk about this in my conclusion in a few of these teams already. Although Mo Salah and Cole Palmer could be loads of fun. So look, this could be a team like this. Dubravka in goal. Many have got him anyway, and you'll be playing him this week. But the back line, we've still got Coyote. Again, remember, Brentford's good fixtures are game week 13 and 16. So Coyote and Thiago are actually in both these teams. Gabriel, you assume he's fit. Wolves at home, and Virgil van Dijk, Brighton at home. So 2 good home fixtures there for 2 of the game's best defenders. Gabriel and Van Dijk. Happy days, I guess. But then the midfield's where we have fun. You punt on a Chelsea attacker. If you can afford him, you go Cole Palmer. But if not, Enzo or Neto. I do fancy Chelsea at home to Everton. Remember, this is off the back of European action this game week. You could see some rotation, like game week 16. Who did Chelsea have before? I think they've got Atalanta. Man City have got Real Madrid before. So again, another reason to take an Erling Haaland out, maybe. Yeah, Arsenal go to Bruges. They should be. You could see big rotation for Arsenal. They should be fresh going into the Wolves game. Liverpool have Inter Milan. Again, like, just worth noting, and I think that will be important. The minutes we see. What minutes will we see ahead of game week 16? I tell you who doesn't have a fixture. Man United, because they're not in Europe. 3 midweeks means a lot. Bruno and Mbermo, you could back them big. Back Man United. You could even go the whole hog and fit Cunha in. You could go without Pedro Neto. You go Cunha, Bruno, and Mbermo. I've just gone for 2 of the 3, but it's an option. Mo Salah, we've discussed. Home to Brighton's a good fixture. Brighton always come and have a go. You just know Mo Salah, that's a good one for points. And it's probably the game before he goes to AFCON. Mo Salah's probably playing in game week 16, and then it's see you later. And if that's the case, you're like, yeah, I quite like that narrative. And Bukayo Saka, like, we just saw a 12-pointer from Saka last time out. Wolves is a great fixture, and I'd actually go double Arsenal attack. It could be Havertz then. It could be Gyökeres. Let's see who plays in the Champions League. But triple Arsenal is a must. Double Arsenal attack feels like the most explosive. It feels like the most fun. So you've got real options there. You can go budget at the back. You could start an Estev. You could double Burnley, and then you get even more money in your midfield if you do want to go Cole Palmer. There's real good options in 16, and it's definitely the more fun free hit, but definitely the riskier free hit. So we'll go back and compare the 2, and the fixtures is the best way to do that always. When you compare the 2, it's like, look at the ticks. There's big ticks there on a lot of teams in game week 16. 6 ticks for 6 quite attractive teams there. But you're back in, I think if you're free hitting, you should probably go without Erling Haaland, because I think you want that glory midfield of Salah, Saka, Chelsea midfield, and then double Man United. Like, you'd probably do it. But it's high risk, of course it is. But you could captain Mo Salah versus Brighton. You could captain Saka versus Wolves. You could captain Cole Palmer versus Everton. 16's fun, but I think most that go in 16 will be those that use their triple captain in 13. There's no better time to use your triple captain than 13. You're going to use it versus Leeds. And when I look at my team and what works for me, I feel I can get a really good team out in game week 16 anyway. I'm going to own triple Arsenal. I'm going to own Chelsea attack by then, I think. I've already got my Dubravkas in place, but I'm probably going to own a Brentford attacker, and I've got Mbermo. I think this is where I go. I think 13 makes sense to me. So if I'm talking percentages, well, I'll end the video on that. But when I look at 13, it just, for my team, it makes sense. I've just bought Mbermo. I've got triple Palace. I take all 4 of them out. I take my triple Arsenal out. I swerve my Bournemouth. I've got Senesi and Semenyo. And what I don't have, Igor Thiago. More than one City attacker. Aston Villa cover or Spurs cover, which could be fun. But I also don't have Salah versus Liverpool. And I think, versus West Ham. And I think Liverpool could be a really good punt that week. I fancy Liverpool on the road to West Ham. I think that's where I go. In terms of fixtures they've got, just want to bring up that ticker from Lego Mane again. So Liverpool going into game week 13, they have PSV at home. That's a good European tie for them. We could see some early subs for the likes of Salah, but again, we look at the minutes going into that. A team like Chelsea, you don't want your Chelsea players against Arsenal, and they're also going to be knackered because they've just gone Barcelona in the Champions League just before that. So I think we have to look at this. Aston Villa, worth noting, they've got a European tie before they play on game week 13. Newcastle have got Marseille. Forest will have played in Europe too. But yeah, a few of them stand out. But the free midweeks for a fair few of the teams then too. Obviously, all those not in Europe will have a free midweek going into game week 13. So where I'm at the moment, I'm 65, 70% going to free hit in game week 13. And if I do that, that affects my game week 12 transfer, which we'll talk about in my team selection video out later this week. Guys, hit those buttons on the way out, and I'll see you very soon.